You need to put down that toothpaste before you squeeze another drop onto your brush. Before today ends, you are going to learn something that will fundamentally change how you view your bathroom cabinet. The toothpaste sitting beside your sink right now may have already been flagged by federal regulators for contamination with chemicals linked to cancer, kidney failure, and hormone destruction. We are talking about legacy brands you have trusted your entire adult life. In 2021, independent laboratory testing triggered recalls across multiple major oral care brands after detecting benzene, a known human carcinogen, in products millions of women use twice daily. Stay with me, because I am going to expose 7 toothpaste brands you must stop using immediately. And then I am going to show you 3 safer alternatives that can finally give you peace of mind. Number 1. Colgate. This is the brand that raised you, the brand your mother kept in the medicine cabinet, the brand you never questioned because questioning it felt absurd. But in 2007, the U.S. Food and Drug Administration issued an import alert after detecting diethylene glycol in Colgate toothpaste products manufactured overseas. Diethylene glycol, that is a toxic solvent found in antifreeze, the same chemical that has been linked to kidney failure and fatal poisoning incidents across the globe. It was inside toothpaste, inside a product designed to go into your mouth twice a day, to coat your gums, to touch the most absorbent tissue in your entire body. Think about where toothpaste goes. It does not just sit on your teeth, it seeps into your gum tissue. It mingles with saliva. Trace amounts enter your bloodstream before you even rinse. For a woman over 40, this exposure pathway becomes far more dangerous than it ever was in your 20s. Your body's detoxification systems are slowing. Your liver processes toxins less efficiently. Your cellular repair mechanisms are not bouncing back the way they once did. Hormonal shifts during perimenopause and menopause mean your body is already under significant metabolic stress. Adding a contamination risk on top of that is like pouring gasoline near a fire. And here is what makes this betrayal so painful. You did nothing wrong. You followed the advice of dentists and parents and television commercials that promised cavity protection and fresh breath. You were a loyal customer for decades. Colgate never evolved their manufacturing oversight to match the trust you placed in them. Decades of loyalty from women like you, and the reward was a contamination scandal that should have ended careers. You stood in that pharmacy aisle, reaching for the familiar red and white packaging, believing you were making a safe choice. You were making the only choice you knew. Meanwhile, behind closed doors, contaminated batches were slipping through quality control failures and reaching bathroom sinks across the country. The formula you trusted was never designed with your aging body in mind. It was designed for profit margins and mass production. Your health was an afterthought. Number 2. Crest 3D White. You wanted a brighter smile. You saw the commercials promising radiant, youthful teeth. You thought whitening toothpaste was a small indulgence, a harmless way to feel good about yourself. But in 2021, Valisure, an independent laboratory specializing in pharmaceutical testing, detected benzene contamination in Crest 3D White toothpaste. Benzene, a chemical the Centers for Disease Control and the World Health Organization have classified as a known human carcinogen. It was sitting inside a tube marketed to make you feel beautiful. Benzene does not belong anywhere near your mouth. It does not belong anywhere near your body. It does not belong in any product marketed for daily use by trusting consumers. This is a chemical associated with leukemia, lymphoma, and bone marrow damage. And yet, there it was, lurking in a product designed for daily use, discovered only because an independent lab decided to look. The findings triggered recalls across multiple oral care brands. The industry scrambled to contain the damage, but the damage was already done. Years of exposure, thousands of tubes purchased, millions of brushings completed before anyone bothered to check what was actually inside. For a woman in midlife, this exposure is not theoretical. Your oral tissue is thinner now than it was at 30. Absorption rates increase as mucosal barriers weaken with age. Every time you brushed, you were creating direct contact between a carcinogenic compound and some of the most permeable tissue in your body. The whitening promise was a lie dressed in marketing language. The reality was chronic low-dose exposure to a chemical that accumulates silently, building risk factors you cannot see until the damage reveals itself years later. Crest sold you vanity. They delivered contamination. Number 3, Sensodyne. You chose Sensodyne because your teeth hurt, because hot coffee sent shockwaves through your molars, because ice cream became an ordeal instead of a pleasure. Sensodyne positioned itself as the compassionate choice, the toothpaste that understood your pain and promised relief. But Velishur's 2021 laboratory testing detected benzene in multiple Sensodyne batches, triggering product recalls and regulatory investigation. The toothpaste for sensitive mouths contained one of the most dangerous industrial chemicals known to science. This is not a fringe concern. Sensitive teeth sufferers often brush more frequently. They apply more pressure. They keep the paste in contact with their gums longer, hoping for relief. Every one of those behaviors increases cumulative exposure. For women over 40, this pattern becomes a compounding disaster. Thinning oral tissue, slower cellular turnover, reduced capacity to flush toxins from the bloodstream. You were brushing more because you hurt more, and every additional brushing was potentially increasing your exposure to a carcinogen. The cruelty here is architectural. It is built into the brand's entire identity. Sensodyne constructed their reputation around sensitivity and care. They charged premium prices for a product that claimed to understand your specific vulnerabilities. They marketed directly to people in pain, and then they delivered benzene. The disconnect between promise and reality is staggering. You trusted them because you were already in pain. You were already vulnerable. And they exploited that vulnerability with contaminated product that passed through manufacturing oversight failures and landed in your bathroom. Sensitivity was their marketing hook. Contamination was the delivery. Number 4, Parodontax. Your gums were bleeding. Your dentist mentioned inflammation. You reached for Parodontax because it promised gum health, because it positioned itself as the serious choice for serious oral problems. You believed you were taking control of a deteriorating situation, but Velishur's 2021 laboratory testing confirmed benzene contamination across multiple Parodontax production batches. The toothpaste marketed to protect your gums was delivering a cancer-linked solvent directly into already damaged tissue. Gum disease creates micro-wounds. Inflammation opens pathways. Bleeding gums are not just uncomfortable, they are entry points. When you brush with a contaminated product, you are not coating healthy tissue. You are introducing chemicals into an already compromised environment. For a woman dealing with perimenopause or menopause, gum health is already under siege from hormonal shifts. Estrogen decline affects oral tissue integrity. Inflammation becomes harder to control. Healing takes longer. Adding benzene exposure to that equation is like treating a wound with poison. Parodontax charged you extra for specialized care. They positioned themselves as the clinical choice. They used medical language and serious packaging to signal trustworthiness. They marketed directly to people whose mouths were already struggling, whose gums were already bleeding, whose oral health was already compromised. And the product they delivered introduced chemical stress into tissue that was already fighting to heal. This is not negligence. This is a formula that never accounted for the reality of who was actually using it. The formulation prioritized laboratory metrics over the lived experience of women whose oral health was already fragile. Number 5, Tom's of Maine. You went natural. You read the labels. You specifically chose Tom's of Maine because you wanted to escape the chemical soup of mainstream brands. You paid more because you believed purity was worth the premium. You trusted the green packaging, the earthy branding, the promise of ingredients you could pronounce. But Velishur's 2021 testing detected benzene contamination in Tom's of Maine toothpaste products. The brand that built its identity on natural safety delivered the same carcinogenic contamination as the conventional giants. This betrayal cuts deeper because it was calculated. Toms of Maine understood exactly why you chose them. They knew you were health conscious. They knew you were skeptical of industrial manufacturing. They knew you were willing to pay more for peace of mind. And they accepted your money while allowing contaminated product to reach shelves. The natural branding was a costume. Underneath, the same manufacturing vulnerabilities existed. The same oversight failures occurred. The same dangerous chemical ended up in the tube. For mature women, this deception is particularly devastating. You made the switch because you were paying attention, because you cared enough to do the research. You changed your habits deliberately. You believed you were protecting yourself from exactly this kind of exposure. You spent more money to feel more secure, and the brand you trusted to be different turned out to be the same. Natural does not mean safe. Green packaging does not mean clean manufacturing. Toms of Maine sold you an identity. They delivered contamination dressed in earth tones. Number 6, Hello Charcoal Toothpaste. Charcoal was the trend. Detoxification was the promise. You saw the black paste and believed it would draw impurities from your mouth, purify your oral environment, deliver the deep clean that conventional toothpastes could not provide. Hello marketed their charcoal toothpaste as modern, clean, innovative. But in 2022, Lead Safe Mama, an independent testing organization, detected measurable lead levels in Hello-activated charcoal toothpaste. The detox product was delivering heavy metal contamination. Lead does not flush from your body. It accumulates. It settles into bones and organs. It builds silently over years of exposure until the burden becomes measurable in blood tests and health outcomes. For women over 40, this accumulation pattern intersects with existing vulnerabilities. Osteoporosis risk increases after menopause. Bone density becomes a pressing concern. Mineral balance matters more than ever. Introducing lead into that equation undermines every calcium supplement, every weight-bearing exercise, every preventive measure you have taken to protect your skeletal health. The charcoal trend was never about your health. It was never about genuine detoxification. It was about aesthetics and novelty and making you feel like a participant in wellness culture. It was about making toothbrushing feel like a ritual instead of a mundane chore. Hello capitalized on that desire for transformation. They sold you detoxification mythology while delivering heavy metal exposure. The black paste looked dramatic on your brush. It felt like you were doing something powerful. You were doing something, but it was not what you imagined. Charcoal did not draw out toxins. It introduced them. Number 7, Close-Up Toothpaste. Close-Up promised freshness, bright red gel, intense, flavor, the confidence of clean breath. For decades, this Unilever brand delivered an experience that felt powerful and immediate. But Close-Up historically contained triclosan, an antibacterial chemical that the U.S. Food and Drug Administration banned from consumer antiseptic products in 2017. The ban cited concerns about hormone disruption and contribution to bacterial resistance. A chemical flagged for interfering with your endocrine system was placed directly inside your mouth. Hormone disruption is not abstract for women in midlife. This is not a theoretical concern for future generations. Your hormones are already in flux right now. Estrogen is declining. Progesterone is shifting unpredictably. Thyroid function is under mounting pressure. Metabolic regulation is becoming more difficult with each passing month. Introducing a chemical known to interfere with hormonal signaling into that environment amplifies every symptom you are already experiencing. Hot flashes intensify. Mood swings deepen. Weight becomes harder to manage. Sleep patterns deteriorate. You blamed aging. You blamed stress. You never thought to blame your toothpaste. Triclosan was in oral care products for years before regulators acted. Millions of women were exposed during the most hormonally volatile period of their lives. Close-Up was not designed for menopausal women. It was designed for mass appeal and shelf stability. The formula prioritized antibacterial claims over endocrine safety. By the time the FDA moved, the exposure had already occurred. The damage was already accumulating. Modern formulas may have changed, but the history reveals a brand that prioritized marketable benefits over the hormonal health of the women using their product. Now, before I share the safer alternatives, I want to be completely transparent with you. I have no affiliation, sponsorship, or partnership with any of the brands I am about to recommend. These suggestions come from research and personal experience only, nothing more. If you are finding this information valuable, please take a moment to subscribe so you do not miss future content that could protect your health. Dr. Bronner's All-One Toothpaste. After everything you have just learned, you need something that feels like a reset. Dr. Bronner's delivers that. The formulation is radically simple. No synthetic preservatives, no artificial dyes, no chemical foaming agents that serve manufacturing convenience over your safety. This toothpaste is EWG verified, meaning it has passed scrutiny from one of the most rigorous, independent safety organizations evaluating consumer products. For hormone-sensitive women, this simplicity is the entire point. Fewer ingredients mean fewer opportunities for contamination to slip through quality control. Fewer chemical interactions mean less oxidative stress on detoxification pathways that are already working overtime during perimenopause and menopause. Dr. Bronner's does not promise miracles. It promises transparency. Every ingredient is disclosed. The manufacturing track record is long and clean. There is nothing hidden, nothing proprietary, nothing that requires blind trust. The honest limitation is flavor. Dr. Bronner's uses herbal profiles that taste different from conventional toothpastes. If you have spent decades brushing with artificial mint, the adjustment requires patience. The taste is earthy, strong, unfamiliar. But unfamiliar is not unsafe. Unfamiliar is simply what happens when you remove the flavor chemicals designed to mask everything else. Give yourself 2 weeks. Your palate will adjust, and you will stop missing the synthetic sweetness. Risewell Mineral Toothpaste. Risewell takes a fundamentally different approach to oral care. Instead of fluoride, they use hydroxyapatite, a mineral that naturally comprises your tooth enamel. This is not alternative medicine speculation. Hydroxyapatite has been used in Japanese dental care for decades and has extensive biocompatibility testing behind it. Risewell was designed by dentists who understood that effective does not have to mean harsh. For women dealing with dry mouth, a common menopause symptom, Risewell offers relief that chemical-heavy pastes cannot match. The minimal ingredient list reduces irritation triggers. The mineral approach supports enamel without the sensitivity reactions that fluoride can cause in some users. Functional and holistic dentists recommend this product specifically for patients whose oral environments have become reactive and fragile. The limitation is price. Risewell costs more than drugstore alternatives, significantly more. This is the trade-off for cleaner manufacturing, simpler formulations, and ingredients that do not raise contamination concerns. Whether that premium makes sense depends on your budget and your priorities. But after learning what you have learned today, the calculation may look different than it did this morning. Desert Essence Tea Tree Oil. Toothpaste Desert Essence built their reputation on avoiding exactly the ingredients that contaminated the products we discussed. No artificial sweeteners, no parabens, no chemical preservatives that serve shelf stability over safety. The formulation uses tea tree oil, a natural antiseptic with a long history of traditional use and modern validation. For women dealing with gum inflammation and sensitivity, tea tree oil offers antimicrobial benefits without the hormone-disrupting concerns associated with synthetic alternatives. Desert Essence carries Leaping Bunny certification, demonstrating cruelty-free manufacturing practices, and maintains transparent ingredient labeling that allows you to verify every component yourself. Their safety record spans decades without contamination scandals. The limitation is taste. Tea tree oil has a medicinal, herbal quality that some find unpleasant. This is not fake mint designed in a flavor laboratory. This is a functional ingredient that happens to have a strong taste. If you are immune-compromised or dealing with chronic oral inflammation, the benefits may outweigh the flavor adjustment, but you deserve to know before you purchase that this toothpaste will not taste like what you are used to. What to do with this information? Now stop using the products on this list. Do not finish the tube just because you paid for it. Do not wait for a sale on replacements. Do not tell yourself one more week will not matter. The exposure continues every time you brush, and your body is accumulating whatever contamination remains in that paste. Every brushing session adds to the cumulative burden. Dispose of it and make the switch today. Start reading labels before you purchase. Look for third-party certifications from organizations like EWG. Choose brands with short, transparent ingredient lists. Avoid trendy formulations that prioritize novelty over safety. Your mouth is not a testing ground for marketing experiments. Tell the women in your life, your sisters, your mother, your daughters, your friends. They are standing in the same drugstore aisles, reaching for the same familiar packaging, trusting the same brands that have failed them. This information only helps if it spreads. Share this video, start conversations, break the silence that allows contaminated products to remain in circulation. Your oral health is absolutely foundational to your overall health and well-being. What enters your mouth enters your bloodstream. What touches your gums affects your entire system. For women in midlife, that connection becomes more consequential with every passing year. Protect yourself. Choose better. You deserve products that honor the trust you place in them. Watch another video on this channel to continue protecting your precious health. Subscribe so you never miss critical information like this. Stay safe out there.